waiting for Jesse to fill that
And
strike.
I believe this happened the other night. I think Eric's group, for whatever reason, Eric's group just moves along really quickly in terms of pace.
And they do have 4 bowlers on the pairs. Sometimes when you only have 3 on your pair, you'll start outpacing the rest of the shift. But
Here is Jesse hoping to do what you've already predicted. Is this going to be some sort of a Jim Kaufman? Ooh.
almost the 8-10.
So he's going to like the fact that there's only 1 pin left, although he probably thought he had a double.
Yep. I'm sure he went from ecstasy to agony to possibility.
So we've got Jesse on lane 4 trying to convert, and we've got Kyle Shaw off camera. Jesse slides by the 8-pin. Kyle Shaw looking to attempt a fill and yet another spare. This time looks like he goes through the middle for 6. So a little heavy on the head pin there.
And Pat has stepped away quickly to verify, and yes, it is a 6 fill for Kyle.
So he did cut clean through the middle and ripped out 6. Covered 2, and then on his third ball, he covered 1 more. So he has a 9 box.
So 83 halfway through this game for Kyle.
Right now, just every time he opens, it seems like the next ball is crushed. So
through 4 frames of this game, Kyle has made up 18 pins on Jesse. Eric has made up 6. But Eric has only marked 1 out of the next 3 frames, and Kyle opened in his 5th frame. So
leaving the door once again open for Jesse.
Right. He has the opportunity to pad that lead some more.
See a bowler over there on lane 3 sporting one of our Duckpin TV shirts.
Yeah, we are sold out of the Duckpin
See a couple
TV
of the
shirts.
Frank Barber 85th shirts floating around this morning.
Right. Represent the sport. You don't have to wear the shirts just to the bowling alley either. I think that might be, it's Matt Gano that Jesse's cheering on. I don't know what type of game Matt has going. I know he had a double, right?
Yeah, Matt had a Matt is a, like I said, is the son of Rick Gano, is a young bowler just coming out of youth, and he's one of the shooting stars, as he would say, in this sport. He's going to be a good bowler as he learns the game a little bit more and
unable to convert there.
Learns how to control the excitement a little bit.
Again, I'm catching myself talking about off-camera action, but we have Dave Dupuy again here on the screen. Again, 320 his first 2 this morning. And picks the triangle. Clip the 9 off the 6 and 10. Covers it for 10 with that look of where was that last ball?
And you'll now see Eric Leteska stepping on to lane 7. He is only 3 boxes away from finishing his first half of the morning block.
And we have a clear view of their scores there, so you can take a look up at the telescore on the top of the screen and just verifying that the score we have for Eric is correct. And yes, it is 98 through 7.
And again, off the side and getting away with it.
Has to take advantage of these opportunities.
Leaving again the 3-6. It's something he's been shooting at often this morning. And he just let that one go.
Yeah, you can tell his just the way he finished his form there. He kind of hopped up on his second ball, and he stayed down on the third ball for the 10 box.
So unlike the last game where Eric finished with a flurry, he's started out strong this game, and now he needs to really pick it up the last 2 boxes.
Yeah, put himself behind pace again. A couple of missed opportunities.
We're going to see Jesse Deach popping back into your screen here on lane 3 in a minute.
Walt Leteska puts 10 in the pit.
One of the 3 Leteskas on the shift. Son Sean is down bowling with Kyle, who you're seeing in your screen right now. And that's going to be a rough.
Light hit.
Yeah, he left a 9-10.
Does not get the pins to mix.
And now you see Jesse quickly coming back over to lane 3, dropping 9, leaving the 7 pin. Kyle's going to try to tip this 9 over or slide it into the 10. Instead, he attempted to bounce the 10 out. So a rare 2 boxes in a row for Kyle without a mark. He does cover the 10, though, as does Jesse cover his 7 pin for a spare. And he's going to cause another delay on lane 3 because I believe that pin is out in front of the sweep.
Brian Ewing really helping us capture these shots, flipping back and forth between the camera shots, zooming, angling our new camera to try and get the best picture possible for everyone watching.
It's our executive producer extraordinaire. You see Rick Gano on your screen right here, former Eastern Classic tournament winner.
2003 champ.
Walking away from that pitch. But, again, that ball resulted in a spare break.
Another one of our donators to the Duckpin TV cause.
Very generous donation from Rick.
Who's in the communications field in his own right, to a much higher degree than Duckpin TV.
Yeah, he does silly
higher.
things like the Daytona 500 and the Super Bowl and
Right.
the All-Star
And
games.
if you happen to follow Rick on Facebook, you'll catch pictures of him up in the booth at the World Series or in a NASCAR, doing the NASCAR experience
in
at
the
Daytona.
car.
I believe he is in charge of hooking up the phone lines.
Yeah, he's a private. Well, he's a private
He's a contractor.
private contractor.
Right.
He used to
For
work
a lot of these sports networks.
primarily. He does Fox events, I believe. But there's Eric with a. It was ugly. It stayed ugly. 6-7. Not a good ball. The ball was off the side again. Didn't quite catch the splashback this time. Eric's going to try to salvage that for a 10 box. Kyle Shaw is about to bowl on lane 20. Kyle looks like he left just the 10 pin. I don't believe the 7's up.
And Kyle's open to the last 2 frames after starting with 4 marks in a row, so big opportunity for him here.
Like Eric made the 6 on his second ball, and he's going to cover the 7 pin for a 10 box. Eric's having a bit of a struggle this game. Kyle covers the 10 pin for a spare, and 3 boxes to go. I'll say the same thing I said last game. If he can mark in 2 out of those 3, I'm sure he's going to be very happy.
Right.
That would give him 7 marks again for this game. You can't complain about that. Well, you can, but
You can, that you didn't get 8 or
you
9
can,
or 10.
you can, but
if you average 7-8 marks a game, you're putting yourself in a good position to score well, as long as you're filling them.
the one
Which he
thing
has been.
the one thing we haven't seen from Kyle thus far, and I don't believe this was the case Friday night, is he's not doubling up. He's
Right.
not backing the strikes up.
Other than that triple in the 10th of the last game.
Right.
Right.
Which is probably, in his mind, the worst possible place he could have put it.
Right. Yeah, doubles and triples are a great way to skip the line, so to speak, and really jump that score up.
Yep.
And he's been scoring the hard way, strikes and spares.
Right. Very, very
Mostly
much.
spares.
And unfortunately, a triple in the 10th just doesn't add up as much as a triple in the
Right.
3rd,
You don't
4th,
get
and
the
5th.
full benefit of that triple
No.
in the 10th.
No.
You get the 30 in the 10th, but you don't get that 20 plus.
You lose out on
Frame
2 more hits, 3 more hits.
Right. All right,
So
we
here's
got
Jesse. And that, again, looks like he got away with a ball off the side. Leaves the 1-3. So Jesse with an 8 load and another opportunity for spare. And, I'll go out on a limb right here and say I don't think Jesse's going anywhere. So these guys below him are going to have to they're going to have to step up the game because
Right. He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
Covers that opportunity. So he's got 84 plus in the sixth. So all three bowlers through six are in the same general vicinity score-wise. It's just that Eric is a little bit ahead of the others and opened. Wasn't able to take advantage. Opened in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Kyle has a mark in the 7th. And Jesse still has 4 frames to fill. And just to reset, we're following shift 3. This is the final day of competition here at the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic. The 12-game tournament, best score wins, scratch, meaning no handicap. Best 12 games win. And these bowlers are in game 9 of 12. We still have one more group. We have shift 5 waiting in the wings once shift 3 completes their competition, with a number of bowlers on shift 5 with a chance to claim victory, but they don't know what that number is just yet that they're chasing after. I'm sure they'll all be watching Jesse Deach as they come in, filing in to get ready for their shift. What number is Jesse going to put up, and or Kyle? Then we have Dave Dupuis on.
Yeah, so that's
on the
set,
screen.
That's the same pair that Eric is on.
Right.
So
We'll see a lot of Dave, I'm sure.
he's been having a good morning.
In the background there, Kevin Simonelli Jr. from Rhode Island.
Young, another
Recently out of
youth,
the youth program.
just coming out of the youth. Yep. This is his first year as an adult bowler, as they say.
And now Big 10 frame for Eric. Again, needs to try and salvage something out of this game.
Another one of those youth bowlers from Rhode Island, I believe, was on last night's shift 5. Michael Ferris.
Yes.
Here's Eric Lateska. Body language said no.
Yeah.
Break again. This time instead of the 3-6, he leaves the 2-4.
Yeah,
So
the split shoulder slump,
yep.
but managed to break up any splits in 2-4. He's missed a couple breaks this game, so this is a big spot for him here.
All right, so with
Flips it on the
that,
outside.
make anything 7, 8, or 9 here. Get to the mid 30s. It's not where you need to be, but it's not a 110.
Right, it's not disaster.
Right.
Now you need to make up for that with maybe a 160 game or a 170 game instead of a 180 or 190
It's
or more.
at this point, it's down to a 3-game tournament, and you're down by 70, 80 pins, and that means you got if you got a 500 set in you, let's go get it.
And Kyle rips the middle for 3 on his spare.
Yeah, unusual little stretch for Kyle here, where the ball's been quite heavy, and he did miss one spare opportunity in there. So a little bit of maybe a wake-up call. Eric fills his spare with an 8. Kyle salvages a 10 out of that, so he makes all 3 of those pins count. He's at plus 36. So again, 2 marks and he's in the 50s. So
Right.
he's not put himself in a position where it's a disastrous game.
He lost some count with that 3 fill, but
But he's usually filling with 10 or 9. So
9, a lot of 9s,
yeah.
a lot of 8s and 9s.
Again, you got Jesse over there on 3 and 4, just pounding away, and
that's been the
again
difference.
not letting up.
Where Jesse, a lot of spare leaves, covers his spares, but also striking more too.
Well,
Stringing strikes.
Friday night, Jesse had double after double
Right.
after double. It was
And it's to be expected when you're the number 1 bowler in the country and the reigning Duckpin Pro Bowlers Association Bowler of the Year. have Jesse. Looks like he dropped 9.
So this is another spare attempt for Jesse Deach, who's just it's every ball he throws has the potential to either be a strike or leave a spare break because ball just has so much on it. He does show a little bit of a human side there. He actually missed the one pinner, but again, that's about as rare as
goes by it twice.
goes by it twice. So again, not a real surprise that Jesse is plus 32 again through 7.
And 2 out of 3 marks in the last 3 for Jesse. He'll be touching 150.
As he usually does. And again, he wants to maintain that 158 average.
Right.
And Kyle drops 10 in his 9th box. So again, if he does what he did last game, he's back in the 170s.
If
he can throw the triple in the 10th again.
Well, he's got one. Now he's got a strike working in the 9th.
So it counts a little more.
Take more benefit. Realize more benefit if he does. Yeah, Kyle with a possible 176 if he strikes out.
But, I mean, Kyle more realistically would be looking, I can get to 156 here.
Right.
Without a double.
Right.
That's going to put him in position to continue to attempt to catch Jesse, even though he's not making ground up quite yet.
At least he's giving himself the opportunity to catch up if Jesse slips.
Correct.
If Jesse continues at this pace, waiting for him to slip's not.
What
counterpunching's not going to help.
What Kyle can't do right now, Kyle cannot give Jesse anything back. See on your screen in front of you, that's Gary Santora, one of the Candlepin bowlers, crossovers. So Eric Leteska has finished the first half of his block this morning, and he did not have any games that sent him closer to the lead, unfortunately, but he didn't have anything disastrous where he would be completely out of contention. So leaves himself in a position with 3 games to go where he's still got a breath. He's still got to take a breath and find that 500 set that you got. You got a 500 set in you. You've done it before. Now's the time. This is if you're ever going to throw a 500 set. It's Jesse Deach, just another strike. That's all.
Nice fill, he says to himself. I'm sure.
Well, he missed a single, right?
Right.
It's almost automatic with these guys.
Nice fill. But got a strike. Got a shot at a double or more.
And the way he's been throwing the ball, the double is likely as anything else.
Right. He smells blood in the water. Got a strike working.
Well, even looking off away from our current contenders, Kyle Shaw and Eric Leteska, you got to think Jesse, who's right now averaging 160, wants to keep his average above the 157 that's sitting below him to give Johnny D'Antonis something to think about. I don't just have to show up. I got a bowl.
Right. Little equipment change here. Got to change the batteries and Pat's microphone.
Some people may want not to change the batteries.
Well, they still heard you anyway, so let me hold on to my microphone here. Everyone's ears get a few seconds rest from Pat. This is the senior Leteska on screen here, looking sharp in his Duckpin TV T-shirt. And he wears that not only
How do we do with the battery, Brian?
But also wears it to league bowling. I bowl in league with all 3 Leteskas Monday nights at Holiday Lanes. There's Sean Leteska, not wearing a Duckpin TV T-shirt, but that's okay. I know he has one.
So we have Kyle Shaw with one frame remaining in Game 3. We have Jesse Deach with 2 frames remaining in Game 3, and Eric Leteska just started off his 4th game. And I'm Not sure what he did. So Eric started off his fourth game with a 9 box. We're about to have Kyle Shaw finish his third game this morning on lane 19. He will then take the trip from Mansfield down to Wyndham. It's not really true. He's going from lanes 19 and 20 down to the far end of the house, lanes 1 and 2. Closer to Willimantic, but not quite in Willimantic. Jim and I were discussing the actual location of where we are. We're on the Mansfield Center Coventry line, so curious as to how we get in the center of anything when you're right on the other.
Right, we're on the town line.
On the line.
But it's still center. But
So here's Kyle looking for that elusive double, and
ouch.
unfortunately he goes through the middle for 3 again.
Which is
It's the third time this game, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
158 specifically. Only 5, Phil, on the strike.
So a 5 load and hopefully at least an 8 box, but that is not going to. That's not going to do it. The 139s are, unfortunately, as good a game as that is in the duck pin world. It's not good enough this morning.
Yeah,
Not when
6
Jesse's
marks,
throwing.
6 marks that game.
Yeah. Well, he had a 3 load and a 5 load.
Right.
I mean, that takes 1 mark away. So really a 5 mark, 139, if you want to look at it that way. Here's Eric Leteska on your screen. And he rips through, but again, he gets away with it.
You
And leaves
tell
a
that was a heavy
2-4
hit,
2-4
just the
again.
sound that the pins made there when he hit the pocket. But
Here's Eric attempting to take advantage of that break. He does. So Eric's up with a mark in the second box, second frame of game 4.
So he's a little ahead of the other 2 that were concentrating
And I believe
on.
that was the case the other night. Friday night, I believe that also happened. We will be awaiting Jesse Deitch's next. We just got a little bit off camera there. We just had a very generous donation of $50 to Duckpin TV from John Lavangi. Anyone that's ever played any kind of organized baseball in the area would know John Lavangi. He was the voice of the Norwich City League, and just a very generous donation on his part. We thank him very much.
And Walt Leteska finishing up here. 9th frame, 10 box. And now we should be seeing Jesse looking to fill his strike. Off the side, breaks them up, leaves just a single pin. So a great opportunity for Jesse. Not the double he was looking for, but one of the best possible outcomes without hitting the head pin. Oh, what happened there? Okay, I thought he had hit reset, but he hit Deadwood. So we're just waiting for the conversion attempt.
And again,
a successful one.
I'm assuming that was another single and spare made Jesse Deitch.
Indeed.
Who is now 42 plus a hit, approaching his average pretty much for 160.
42 over his box.
And one more mark, and he's averaging 160 still.
Maintaining that average, turning average.
9 games.
Right.
That's the hardest thing to do. You can average 160 for 3. You know, you can average 160 for 3 games. You might be able to average 160 for
6.
maybe 6.
Yeah, 960.
But keep doing it for 9 or 12. That's when things get a little more difficult.
And that's what makes this tournament so difficult. You can have a good game, you can have a good set, you can have a good 6 games, but it's 12 games total.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
they just
of
keep
bowling.
coming. And it's almost like a breath of relief when it's over,
Right,
whether you do well or not.
right.
Damn,
I made it.
did it.
No, not quite the marathon of tournaments as they used to have. The
15,
All-Star Classics,
gosh,
15 games,
was it
30
18
games.
at some point?
More.
I can't even imagine 18 games in a week. Never mind a
Right.
weekend.
Well, I think they might have bowled it over 2 weekends or multiple weekends, but
Of course, what am I talking about? When I was growing up, when I was first starting, I would bowl 4 or 5 times in the same tournament
Right.
because they kept adding shifts. I don't know if you remember those days when
oh sure.
you'd bowl and then the 4 o'clock shift would end and 7 guys would go, "Hey, we'll bowl another one." Okay,
When I was a youth during our state tournament, they would have 5 shifts on Saturday and 3 shifts on
Yeah.
Sunday. We
Bowl
bowled them
them all.
all. 24 games in 36 hours.
Yeah.
I just cringe thinking about that now.
I could do that anymore. I mean, I bowled. I go to the sweepstakes on Thursday nights in the summer. Will Rigney runs in honor of Frank Ferry, who's moved to Florida. He kept that sweepstakes alive, and I've actually done 12 games on a Thursday night.
Ouch.
In the summer, when I have the next day off and I can, just
Right.
lay in the pool and
Soak.
recover. Not something I'd want to do during the course of a work week.
Yeah.
Lot of excitement down there on the lower end with
Yeah.
Matthew Gano has a very vocal following.
I think that's a lot of that you hear is Jesse. I think it is. I think
is.
he's trying to keep himself
Well, that's
amped
one,
up
you know,
by cheering his lane mates on.
I don't know. I do have very similar tendencies when I bowl in tournaments. I'm very vocal for the other. I cheer
Right.
everyone on, and it does actually keep me
It keeps you focused.
focused.
Hopefully it keeps them focused.
Yeah.
Everyone's on the same page, trying to bowl well and cheer each other on. It can only help.
And I'll tell you,
The way I look at it.
I've bowled with so many tournament winners. I bowled in the Eastern Classic once with Walt Brooks, and he won it. And it was exciting because, if you can't win it, it's fun to be with the person who is.
Right.
Here's Eric Lateska,
On a strike.
and 9 drop. So it was 9 or 8. I can't see if the 10 pin's in the
I'll
corner.
pick the 610.
So he's got 2 in the corner.
He had a little bit of that shoulder slump where he was hoping for a double there, and still has a spare leave though.
And that reaction tells me he converted. Jesse Deach fakes like he kicks the ball rack, but he doesn't.
Better not.
Thankfully.
And that was a 2-fill on his spare in the 9th.
Yep. So there goes the thoughts. Well, I was going to say, there goes
150
the
still in
thoughts of a
play.
160, but he can't get to 60, but he certainly can get to the 50s. And that's just amazing. That was almost a throwaway ball. You could see he gave that ball no thought,
Right.
and it just went and did what it had to do. So he's not going to be averaging 160 after this game.
But I think, again, 150.
It's going to be
He can-
averaging 159.
If he can get over 150 for this game, that's still a positive in his mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because he's gained 4 pins on the entire field in his mind just by throwing the 154. And it's 153.
Well,
So
takes almost full advantage of that conversion.
so he dropped 6 pins below his average. He's got 9 games. It might not even fall. It's probably going to be 159.6 or 159.7. At this point in the action, we are halfway through the morning shift to shift 3 of the 88th annual Frank Barbara Memorial Eastern Classic. We are coming to you live from Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield Center, Connecticut. We're going to take a short break and be back right after this message.
I think Nick's become the biggest problem solver I ever know. He's just okay. I want to do that, so we're just gonna figure out how we're gonna do it. And honestly, I don't know how he figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated. McClellan's champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ring and 5 pin, and we have a tie.
And welcome back. Jim Kaufman here with Duckman TV. You're watching live coverage of the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic. As always, emanating from Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield Center, Connecticut.
It's the center of Mansfield Center, Connecticut.
And we are in the 4th game. This is the second block of shift 3. So these bowlers that you'll be watching are in their 4th game, or essentially their 10th game overall for the tournament. And we are following Jesse Deach, who, if he keeps up this pace, will be...
He did not drop below 160 with that. Unbelievable.
He is averaging
160.1.
160 for his first 9 games. Keeps that up, he will be absolutely in first place.
Well, he would be over 1900.
Right?
That would be...
And another person we're following is our own Eric Leteska, who's slipping a bit, though.
He's going to put the score in earlier.
Hasn't cracked 150 yet today.
So Jim, just local trivia, if you will. Do you know what Mansfield Center is most known for besides Lucky Strike Lanes? You know what the big attraction is in Mansfield Center?
I have a guess, but
what do you think it is?
I would say the drive-in.
And
the flea market.
There you go. There you go. The Mansfield Center Flea Market is well known throughout New England. In the summer.
Both.
Yeah, in the summer.
Do they still show first run?
I want to say
movies?
yes, they do.
I think so. And Eric only with a 6 box there, 2-fill 6 box. Fairly disastrous result for him there in the 6th frame.
Especially starting off 3 out of 4 marks. You know, you get a little momentum going.
Right.
You're thinking maybe I can finally crack that 150, and then boom, right back to +7,
Right.
17. So we've got Kyle all the way down on 1 and 2. We've got Jesse now going to be moving over to 5 and 6.
And Eric is a half a game ahead of both of them,
This will be the next time they move will be the last time they move.
right? You bowl your last 2 games of each block on the same pair. So hopefully if you're bowling well, you can stay locked in. And
Oh, maybe Jesse thinks his
Score
score
well.
is good enough. He's got his coat on. I hope he's not leaving.
well, he's got a chair with him. I don't think he's going anywhere with that.
I don't think he's got quite enough
Chair.
yet. He hasn't gotten by Kevin Martin yet.
Oh, maybe he's like a pitcher between frames, put the jacket on, keep everything loose.
There you go. Well, when you throw the ball as hard as he does, that might not be a bad idea. See on your frame right here, Eric's brother, Sean Leteska, with 6 pins no longer there and still not there, so he's got to clean this up for. And he does clean. He's going to be like, yeah, why can't they be the first ball? That's exactly what he said.
We're behind lanes 13 and 14. I could hear that ball on lane 1.
Lucky Strike regular.
Bowls and keep score during these.
Yes, he does. And here's Eric Leteska. He is trying to recover from that box that he just, and unfortunately,
Another rip.
again, right through the middle. So things are starting to turn sour for Eric, and it's the worst part of that is the clock's running.
Right. And another
Just hear those
punch.
single clicks.
Right. I'm not. Just listening to his ball, it's not good. You know, he's not having good results.
So here's Eric trying to clean this up again, and it looks like he may have salvaged a 9
Hit
out of that.
9. And again, it's put
And
him
here's
behind the 8 ball, so to speak.
Kyle Shaw is going to be stepping up on lane 1. This will be his first box of game 4 today, or for the tournament, game 10. Jesse Deach is also getting ready to start his 4th game. He'll be on lane 6 to begin. Here's Kyle's first ball on lane 1. He's off the side and leaves the 1-2-4.
So this is the hot pair, right? This is the
Well,
best pair.
legend
has it?
You could talk to a
Around
lot
the
of
street?
people, yeah, and the highest
Sure.
scores in the house have been had on 1 and 2.
But you know what? Whether they are or not, if Kyle thinks that they are,
That's all that
that could be an
matters.
advantage,
Kyle knows more than anyone.
right? That'll be a question we'll ask him later.
I can tell you that Kyle knows every single nuance of every lane in this house.
I bet. Jesse's first ball.
And there's another 2 chop. So he's not shown a lot of those throughout the morning. And if you threw a 957, he probably didn't have a lot of those on Friday night either. This time does not convert. So he's going to try to clean this up. Trying to clean this up for 9 or 10. And so there's a 9 box for Jesse to open up his 10th game of the tournament. 4th game of the morning. Soon to be afternoon.
Do I smell the chili? Is the chili on?
That chili has definitely
Oh.
been a hit of the weekend, I can tell you that.
Smells good.
Either most people have been eating it with their hot dogs, or you can get it by the bowl.
Yeah, I know Eric Lattes got a bowl of it
Yes,
after
he
his
did.
first 6 games.
He did. Got a gentleman right in front of us off camera on lanes 15 and 16 starting a game with a double.
And also on 15 and 16, we're watching Manny Rebello here, waiting for him to be able to bowl. He's one of a handful of people rocking the wireless headphones while they're bowling.
Yeah, Mike Smith is a league bowler here. I see him. Also, Ricky Buchanan out of Rhode Island, bowling with the headphones in. I don't know that I could do that. It would be distracting
No.
to me.
Well,
Everything's distracting to me, though, so.
keep your mind off the bowling. Maybe sometimes when you're not thinking about bowling, it helps. That's his way of doing it.
It's Kyle Shaw going to be stepping up on lane 2, loading yet another spare.
Wonder how many times we've said Kyle Shaw on a spare.
Yeah, we should have done a Duckpin TV fundraising challenge just for those words coming out of my mouth.
Rob Thatch, another house bowler on lane 3. Supporting the tournament. Bowls every year. And here's Kyle. First ball on lane 2. Filling a spare in the first.
And in his mind, he got away with that because he did not like where that ball was headed, but he picked up 9, leaving the 7 pin.
And I could hear his ball hitting the pocket, and it had that clack like
Yeah.
a heavy hit.
It sounded like it was going through. He's done it so often in the last 4 or 5 boxes.
Right.
He probably saw it happening again. 7 pin for him is like, I don't know. It's like writing his name or
Like
tying,
tying
his
a
shoes.
shoe,
Yeah.
right? And now Jesse after 9 in the first.
So we see Eric now again well ahead of the pace of the other 2 bowlers, but only in the sense of how many boxes he's bowled. not score-wise at this point. Let's see. Walt Leteska there dancing around. Oh, that's off camera. I'm sorry. Here's Eric, his son. And again, chopping one off of a 2-pin spare. Something he's done a couple extra times this morning that he's probably going to talk about later. Or maybe not.
I don't want to talk about it. Oh, he will.
I guess the real question for Eric will be: were you thinking about trying to make up 80 pins? Did that enter your mind? Was that thought there
Right.
or not? Because no matter what you're doing, you know you got to throw higher. Jesse's found the rip twice in 2 boxes here now, so he's at a point where 5 and 6 he's ripped on both 5 and 6, so he's got to make some adjustments early in this game.
And it's just a matter of getting all the wood you can and moving on to the next frame here for Jesse.
You know, in Kyle's mind, he's got to be thinking, which one of these games, when I put down 6 or 7 marks, am I actually going to make a move?
Right.
You know, am I going to get where I need to be?
And now here's an interesting factor is Kyle and Jesse can see each other's scores much easier now.
Well, they are close proximity, and they're going to
Right.
remain fairly close to
Right.
each other for the remainder of the tournament. So that does become certainly a factor.
Oh, and Tom Dominique came over to us earlier saying, "Oh,
He
why
hadn't
am
been
I
a
not
spare
on the
all
stream?
morning. I know.
I have 3 strikes in 3 games, and that's it. No spares." Well, I think you just made some type of a split for a spare.
Yeah, I believe he did. I told Tommy if he donated some more money to Duckpin TV, we'd give him a special Tommy cam.
They're exactly the Tom Dom cam, but he laughed that off. Did not reach for his wallet.
He'll just have to suffer and sit here and talk later. That's all.
Right.
So we've got Eric Leteska here looking like he's shooting at another difficult box. That's another 9 box, I believe. If he had 9 or 8. I believe it was 9.
I'll put it down as 9.
I think it was 9. See Dean Vertife here shooting at the 7-pin, and
Covers.
he converts.
And like Kyle stiffed him on the high
Yeah,
five.
Dean wouldn't let
you
him.
better
No, Dean's
hit
not
me
going to
one
let you
time.
get away with that.
No.
No, absolutely not.
That was the gave him the Tom Brady treatment there. Left him hanging.
So here's Kyle on yet another spare. And he'll be shooting at the 7-pin once more. I thought he was going to get a kick there. Just ho-hum, another 9 drop for Kyle. Hey, Jim, guess what? Kyle's on a spare.
7-pin?
And just like tying your shoes, right? He almost didn't hit that one in the center. He must have been upset. He hit that one off the
I'm
side.
sure he's over it.
Yeah.
So,
So there he goes.
spare.
999. I would venture to say his average fills have been 7
More than that.
or 8.
Probably closer to 8. I mean,
Yeah.
even with those 2 bad.
Well,
fills
you
that
got
he
the
had.
you got the triple in the 10th
Right.
there, so that's 20. So that makes up for a couple of 3s here and there. Everything else has been 9 or 10. And Jesse's
on
finally
board.
figures out his pair. No doubter right there. No doubter.
Get a
See this replay as Jesse just buries this ball solidly in the 1-2 pocket, and there's nothing left to complain about there.
No fist pump.
Well, coming off 2 opens, he knows he doesn't have a reason to thump his fist yet. He's got work to do. He's got 27 boxes right now to do some work. got to think of it as he's worked really hard for 93 boxes and doesn't want to let that slip away in the last 27.
And Eric Leteska started the game promising with 3 marks out of the first 4 frames. Now has 4 open since 94 in the 8th.
See, Eric's at a point here where he desperately needs to start throwing strikes.
Absolutely.
He's unfortunately he's in search of not 1 but maybe 2 games over 180 at this point. You see Eric's off the side again. Just the ball's just not getting to the spot.
And if I had to guess what he left, it's probably
I think it's the. I think it's the
3.
2.
Oh wow, I can't tell.
Oh, he made it.
No.
Oh, he picked up another ball, so there was an extra
it might have
pin.
been the bucket actually.
Yeah.
Covered it for 10, but still just 104 in the 9th.
So Eric struggling to say the least in this one. We're going to see Kyle back up lane. He'd be on lane 2. Thus far on this pair, Kyle has dropped 8, 9, and 9.
Here he is.
I'm gonna give Kyle the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna give him a strike on this ball, or I'll just give him another 7-pin. Man, he just can't get that. He can't get that pin action to get over in the corner. Everything he had 3 pins heading that way, and not one of them did the job. He's got 2 pins go by it in the front.
With his eyes closed, he covers it.
I won't even call it. It's too easy.
Probably could have covered it with his eyes closed.
I believe if he looked at where he was on the lane, he could close his eyes and shoot
Probably.
that pin.
He has such good balance with his delivery. Jesse looking to double up here. Kickstart his 4th game / 10th game.
Here's Jesse taking a and
Ouch.
through the middle. Rips for 5. It's an interesting 5 on that one. He took out the 6 in between the.
Missing a tooth on the right.
Yeah, he took out the 6 between the 3 and the 10. Which is a strange leave. And there's
An angry second ball.
Yeah, he's starting to show a little bit of frustration. I mean, I don't know if he sees Kyle's game going over there. And he still
Could
has an
be.
80 pin. He has an 80 pin advantage. So
Eric Leteska in the 10th frame here. Trying to make something of this game, trying to save it. And covers the 3-pin
covers
spare.
it. So again, I don't think Eric's looking to shoot 120s right now.
And shaking his head. Looking around at other scores. And Eric with a 7 fill to get just over 120, 121 for the
Yeah.
his fourth game of the day, 10th of the tournament. Yet still 4 games bowled and yet to break 150. So he's given up, he's lost ground on that 150 average and lost even more ground to Jesse and Kyle.
Yeah, he's Kyle's averaging just over 150. Jesse's averaging just over 160. So, Jesse has a 90 pin advantage over Kyle, who's his closest active competitor. That does not have a 90 pin advantage over Don Dove. So,
yeah, looking ahead to shift 5, like you mentioned before, John D'Antonis averaged 157 his first 6 games.
I said Don Dove, my bad.
Yeah, and he'll be walking in realizing he may need to shoot better than that if Jesse keeps up the pace.
Well, yeah, that's the big if. Does Jesse's average exceed John D'Antonis this afternoon, or does John come in just having to hit what he hit the other night? That's going to be the big question.
Right.
We're going to take this opportunity to take a short break. We are, again, Duckpin TV coming to you live from Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield Center, Connecticut. We are presenting the 88th annual Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Classic.
I think Nick's become the biggest problem solver I ever know. He's just, okay, I want to do that, so we're just gonna figure out how we're gonna do it. And honestly, I don't know how he figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated. McCollum's champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ringing 5 pin, and we have a tie.
And we are back, and we're looking at Kyle Shaw, who I believe loaded his spare. Not sure what his load was. I know he ended up with a 9 box. Jesse blew through the middle again for 7. He's trying to make a difficult spare, and he did not. So Jesse leaves a 9. Try to get Jim back with an update on Kyle's score. I believe Steve Korrick just did that favor for us, so going to get our roving reporter Steve in here to give us an update on Kyle. Thank you, Steve. So he had a 7 load, 9 box. Got to go. There you go. So at this point in game 10, Kyle has made up 31 pins, so he's made up a third of the deficit. If he can continue to hold that advantage for this game, he'd go into the last 2 games. He'd go into the last 2 games down 60 versus down 90. That's got to be a little bit of a mental confidence booster.
Absolutely.
Question is, you don't want to beat Jesse and end up just beating Jesse. You want to put up your best score.
Right, you
don't know what's coming at you next
as
year.
high as possible because
Correct.
you just don't know if it's if it'll hold.
It's like Eric Lateska starting off his next fifth game today with a spare. Eric is on his final pair of the tournament. He is on lanes 11 and 12, just off to our left. As we stepped away, Jim, Kyle did have an open frame in the 5th. I think he went through the middle for 7 and then cleaned it up a little bit for 9.
Like you mentioned, just as we came back into the broadcast, he's made up 30 pins.
Yeah, I think he's
So
down
far?
roughly 90, just based on average. So he's made up a third of them.
Right.
So he's got to continue that and then some, because he's still not at the 157 average that John D'Antonis had put up yesterday afternoon. So if Jesse comes back to him, that doesn't do him any good.
Right, you have to get
You got to go
want to
above.
get above John's pace.
Correct. We are going to see Kyle finish with 2 games on pair 3 and 4, which again, that end of the house was known to produce some pretty big scores. Just
Wow.
will not give Kyle a strike. Tell you that. He's throwing the ball right in the joint. This time the solid 8-pin. A lot of pins flying around when that one was sitting there. See if Kyle can regroup here, and very, very easily converting his singles as far as that aspect of the game goes today. Very little issue with his single spares. I think he's missed 1 out of, 50.
One out of all of them.
See Walt Leteska here. He's going to dance around for you a little bit.
Right. Little jumping bean action here.
Oh.
Maybe a little lom. Oh.
There you go. I called it. He did the dance.
Yep. He was trying to, what's that where you try and dance under the stick?
Trying to what?
Dance under the stick.
Oh, it's limbo. He did a little limbo, 5-7
action.
limbo. And Jesse
breaks
gets a
up the
kick.
5-10.
Yeah. He's
I almost said lambada. That's the forbidden
good
dance.
grief. When was
a bad
that?
movie from 30
That's
years
really,
ago.
really bad. That brings back nightmares. Eric Leteska, again, off the side of the head pin. He's just getting probably just a little frustrated right now. Can't get the ball to the center of the alley. Does convert another spare, so he's off to the start he needs in terms of this game. He's got to string 18 more in a row at this
Right.
point.
Some strikes mixed in. Multiples. Yeah, I've got to be thinking, I need a personal best finish here to have a shot. Jesse converts.
So Jesse with 2 marks through 6 frames. Kyle with 5 marks through 6 frames. Kyle's been just consistent. Again, the difference today has been Kyle again, just not. So, again, Kyle is 20. He's got 25 boxes to go. That's now you start to think I got to just do well for 25
Right.
boxes. The rest of what I've done is in the books. Going forward, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm throwing a great ball.
Absolutely.
Jesse's got to be thinking the same thing. Jesse's averaging 160, which is higher than he came in this morning.
Right. He was at 158.75
Yeah.
or something.
So he's
like that.
averaging higher than,
raised
which
his
is
average.
a crazy average. He was
Yes.
averaging 159. Now he's averaging 160. So he's actually improved his
But
score.
that's what it takes to win this tournament. Sometimes it's not quite that, but
So if he were to finish that out, we would be looking at a 1900, which is a huge
Yes.
score.
we haven't seen that in the last few years. Usually been low to mid 18s. So
Here's Eric Leteska's going to jump up into your screen. He's looking to string them together at this point. He did it the other night, throwing that kind of a ball right there. Now that's the ball he wants right there. The solid 1-2 pocket, drops 9, solid 10-pin left. Stepping quickly back up onto the lane. He's anxious to just drive this in the pit. Three in a row.
Three
so,
in a row. Just what he needed.
Now, as you're looking at the screen, unfortunately, Eric's in his next game. So you're looking at Kyle and Jesse's 10th game. That is Eric's 11th game, just to be clear.
Correct.
Here's Jesse looking to load up that spare in the 6th box. Locked in on that one.
Trips the 5.
He absolutely, when he let go of it, he knew that was a ball. No question. Sounds like Matt Gano is down there returning Jesse's favor. He's
Yes.
cheering just as loudly for Jesse as Jesse's cheering for him. That's good. I love to see that. I love to hear it. Here's Kyle Shaw looking for the elusive strike on lanes 1 and 2. And instead he leaves a mess. 2, 3, 7, 10. Very, very difficult spare attempt on this. 6 load, which doesn't do him any favors. And he's going to drop more pins to Jesse, who's on a strike. If there was one slight glitch in Kyle's game today, it's just been he's been too much on the head pin a couple of times, and it's just gone through straight instead of
Right.
catching the pocket. But that's,
A replay of Jesse's strike.
yeah, that's
Where he trips
Right,
out the
yeah.
5 and 7 very quickly.
the 5 didn't have a chance that time. That pin was coming across with all kinds of authority. Gentleman you see there in the brown shirt, his name is Rob Skeen.
Gotcha.
Wasn't familiar with the left-hander there, and he is appearing in the camera quite frequently because he's on the pair next to Eric and Dave Dupuis.
Yeah, looking at Matt Gano's score, I know we've been hearing a lot of Matt and a lot of Jesse cheering each other on. Matt is coming off a 163
There you go.
game, so he has 427,
And
and he is currently in second place in the C division.
so he's moving up. He's and that's he would be the leader in the clubhouse, so to speak, if we were to finish with that average, because the other bowler has not completed his series yet. He's got 6 games to bowl this afternoon. So
Right. And he's got
Matt can put up a score.
Matt has a 15-pin lead over John De Palma. They're both
There you go.
bowling right now.
There you go. Here's Eric trying to keep the string going. And he unfortunately goes off the side for 2 on that ball. Still shaking his head a little bit. Can't convert the 5. Great attempt at that, but will open for the first time this game. Here's Kyle, I believe, attempting a spare. Tell by the reaction whether it was because he got a pump. So back on the spare train. Only 6 spares through 9 boxes this game. He's
Eight boxes.
oh, I'm sorry.
I put a graphic in
I
here
thought he
in
was
the
behind his
10th
pace. He's
frame
not.
here, just to let everyone know which game each of the bowlers is in. So I'll get rid of those when we get to the 10th frame.
Kyle is putting up an inordinate amount of spares. Each game seems he has 5 or 6 spares. Jesse just went off the side there. He is working on a strike, however, so he's
Got the washout. The
certainly has a
1.67.
chance to convert this. Rips through the middle for 1, so it's a 7 load. Try to clean this up for 9. Did cut into that 30-pin advantage of Kyle's, however. which is really. But at 97 through 8, he is nowhere near the 160 pace in
Right.
this game. This
Or
is his
even
first.
150.
This is his first game where he's really going to have to pull
Grind
it
it.
together at the end.
Grind it out.
I mean, you think about it right now. The highest he can hit at this point is 157, which
Right.
isn't what he's
That's still not
averaging. So he
tournament
needs to throw a
average.
four-bagger to do that. So this is the first game today and maybe of the tournament where Jesse's going to have to pull it all together and regroup. You see Eric dropping 10 on there. So he had that one ball, one backs where he chopped, and now he's back hopefully stringing strikes together because that's the only chance he has right now. Here's a replay of Eric's ball. Ball gets right out and gets to the 1-2 solidly, kicking out the 5-6 last, but Pin did all the damage.
That might have been the head pin that took out.
Looked like it
The 6
came
and
from
the
the
5.
front, yeah.